Hey folks, one more roving report for you from Gainesville, and this one is a check-in with the folks behind the scenes. So not the performers this time. My good pal and emissary down in Gainesville, Pete Nestor, caught up with Lynne Ellison, Dan Spiess, and Brandon Leavitt. So take it away, Pete.
So I've just arrived here at the Tom Petty weekend and sort of getting the lay of the land a little bit. It's very interesting. I sort of walked up to an individual. He's got a diamond lanyard on, indicating that he is the VIP of the VIPs. And I was wondering, he was outside, and there's actually somebody inside on the soundstage that's giving recollections and reminiscences of old Gainesville and stories about Tom. And I thought it was interesting because he had his diamond lanyard on. And I was like, I was just wondering why you're not inside listening to the story. We're just seeing it on this big screen outside. And he basically said, well, I don't really need to go inside. I'm just sort of hanging out, chilling, doing my thing out here. I'm not messed up by it, not fussed by it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. He's like, yeah, I graduated 2 or 3 years behind Tom, and I think my sister is in the same graduating class as Tom. So it's like, this guy doesn't need the stories, right? Because he was there for the stories. He knows the origin story because he, in some way or another, is sort of part of it. So here we are, Tom Petty weekend, kicking it off. It's been a good start already. Lots of friendly people, great weather. Looking forward to some great music and great conversation with a whole bunch of folks that I'm really excited to get to know better. And to make sure I know who I'm talking about, this is Lynne
Ellison.
Lynne Ellison. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just here trying to get a sense of the vibe of the weekend. And Lynne, I know you've had a really major part to play in everything here. So tell me a little bit about how you've been involved.
Well, I started working with Dave Malash, who is the owner here, one of the owners, in I want to say 2017 for the first Tom Petty Festival. And I volunteered to do that. And that resulted in me being hired part-time, working full-time pretty much, and donating my time because I believe in Heartwood Soundstage so much. It's part of my life. The idea of the Tom Petty Festival is that this is family. I mean, everybody here is really nice. All the bands, I'm telling you, are just some of the best people I've ever met in my life. Yeah, some of them I've known for 40 years.
I've noticed that there is a huge contingent of people that this is their home turf.
Right. And that's the deal we want. We want people to come and bring their kids. We want them to play with hula hoops in the front of the stage. We want that feeling. That's the vibe we're going for.
Right. I love it. And so you said, you also mentioned the fact that all the people here would love to talk. And because they want to share their story because it's such an incredible story, right?
Yes, it is. And there are performers that have been here since the first festival. So I think Jake Thistle was 14 when he first played here.
Right.
So it's been we have a long history with a lot of them. And it's just, we try to keep some fresh coming in, especially local talent. Right. We're very community minded and we like to build people up. We have community nights on Wednesday night, and it will have one performer out in the courtyard, and inside they'll either do a camera tech class or writing class or some type of class to do with production or, running a studio. And that's huge.
And so your connection with this really is through the Heartwood Soundstage, not so much with the festival or the weekend, but obviously they're all sort of interconnected at this point, right? Yeah,
that is all just one mesh.
Right.
But I am very connected to Heartwood Soundstage. Yeah. It's like I said, my employee number is 001.
The OG of Heartwood Soundstage.
That's the first one.
Yeah.
But I have such respect for Dave Malash, who was the owner, Dan Spiess, who's the producer of the Tom Petty Festival, and Hooch Shatama, who is one of the other owners of Heartwood. But these people are so good. It's like amazing. It just makes your heart warm. You know what I mean?
And it's not easy work. I know that there's a lot that goes into putting these sorts of things together, but knowing that you're working with people that you feel so connected with and tight with makes it all worthwhile, right? The communities it built.
The very first festival we did right after Tom passed away, it was 2 weeks afterwards.
Right.
And we put together a huge festival in 2 weeks and pulled it all. So there's a lot of talent working here. The camera people have learned from the studio.
Yeah.
The sound man learned from the studio.
Right. Right.
It's just, like I said, it's just a really community-oriented group.
Oh, that's fantastic. In case you don't know the whole story, I'll just give you a quick 30-second overview. I'm a podcaster. My buddy Kevin Brown is a podcaster. He does the Tom Petty Project, and he's been doing it for 2 or 3 years now. And that is song by song, going through the Tom Petty catalog, talking about the nuances of every song. He's got lots of guests that he's had on the show, et cetera, et cetera. He was going to be here until the reschedule, and he couldn't make it down. His schedule didn't work for his schedule this time. So I became his kind of man on the street stand-in right now. And so I'm just trying to grab a couple of sound clips so that I can throw it back to Tevin, and he can see that on the show. So that's where we are. And obviously, you know him very well, at least through the work that you've been doing and through the communications you've had. I think you may have even already been on.
I was on that last year.
Yeah, right, exactly. So really what I'm trying to do is just kind of get a feel for how things are going this year. Obviously, things have been thrown up in the air and scattered all around. Yeah, if they have come together from what I've seen, I mean, this is my first time being here. This is a special place with special people. And the fact that you're doing this really on a volunteer basis, right? Like this is not something you're getting compensated for.
I'm not getting compensated.
And for you to be able to pull together what has happened in the last month and a half to create what's going on right now with all the love and the beautiful vibes that are happening here is awesome. So can you tell me a little bit about what the process has been over the last couple of weeks and how you were able to pull together such a apparently successful, obviously, situation?
But this festival was a tough festival. Yeah, some years go really smooth, some don't. This wasn't a smooth one. You know, we started like 11 months ago, and it just seemed like everything was hard, everything. But we finally we're getting closer. Really happy with the lineup, and we got the lineup just about solidified. You know, everything was kind of still coming together last minute, but we were really feeling pretty solid about it. And then the hurricane, then they announced the hurricane's coming. And we already had Helene come through, and Helene just was really hard on Gainesville. But there was going to be 2-3 weeks before, the festival. So we're feeling pretty good about it. And then Milton comes. It's like, come on, another hurricane. And that one was, we started getting the feedback that, oh, you guys are going to be partying while everybody doesn't have power and they're miserable. It's like, no, I guess we can't do that. So, and then we started having bands cancel. And so we went, okay. And we only had 1 weekend from now through March or April that we could reschedule. And it was this weekend, the 7th, the 7th, 8th, 9th of November. And so,
hey, how you doing? Good. Sorry to get in your way.
Oh, you're fine. That's not my way at all.
Okay, so you sounded great, by the way. I was listening in. That sounded awesome.
Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah.
So we the speaker wars were the first band to say, hey, we can reschedule. We can make that reschedule. And we're like, ooh, maybe we can make this work. And the bottom line is, and starting with the speaker wars, that every musician that's here this weekend either busted, they really worked it out. They were so sweet and kind to us.
And just to be clear, Speaker Wars is Stan Lynch's band, or at least he's drumming for it. Yeah,
right. And they there's so much respect and love for Tom Petty, right? And as long as your focus is we're trying to honor Tom Petty, people bend over backwards to make it work. And so we are the recipients of that wonderfulness, that cooperation.
Yeah.
And you see it in the performances. We saw it in the cooperation and making and rescheduling this. I mean, we had 3 weeks to do what we did in 11 months. We had 3 weeks. It's not easy.
No.
But we did it. And it really only through the cooperation of the musicians and the staff and the fans. Right.
Yeah.
So we,
And it really, what I found is that it's such a organic, homegrown festival with people, like you say, who love Tom, love his music, and want to be a part of that experience and to remember him in the right way possible with all those things going together. And so there's no way that could have happened, as you say, it sounds like, without having the goodwill of all the community and all the people that just want to be here.
You know, I moved here in the late 70s. And one thing I realized pretty quickly is there was a tremendous amount of local pride in that Tom Petty came from this town.
Yeah.
And
he was proud of that.
Yeah. And he was, any interview you ever heard of Tom Petty, I guarantee you at some point you go, well, you know, I'm from this little town in Florida, Gainesville, Florida.
Yeah.
And he'd always mention Gainesville. You know, he's from Gainesville. And so he was proud of where he came from. He really was.
And I was just talking with Peter earlier at the hotel, bass player for, in this case, the Gator City All-Stars, but much bigger resume than just that, obviously. And he was saying that you listen to Tom's music, and I've seen it as well. There's clues scattered, there's Easter eggs scattered through every one of his albums about Gainesville.
Right, yeah.
Where he came from.
Right, where he came from.
Yeah.
So, and that's translated. So here we are years and years later, but it's translated. You talk to people and they're proud that Tom came from.
Yeah.
That they live in the same town. Yeah. Right? And that doesn't work for a town like New York or Chicago or LA. Yeah, it's like, it's so big. It's like, yeah, so what, he came from here. There's a million people here, millions. But here, there's not that many people. So it really stands out.
This is an incredible incubator, this city, with all of the history of the music that has flowered from here organically in the late 60s, early 70s, the Stephen Stills and, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it goes through going with the Lehmans, the Eagles, and
Don Felder. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
And it continues, I think, as well. We've seen a lot of local acts here where you just sort of feel like it's ready almost for another shot of international stardom with some of these acts that are playing that are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to give kudos to that.
This is Brandon Leavitt.
Yeah, Brandon, introduce yourself to the world.
I'm Brandon Leavitt. I'm lucky to know Dan Spiess, who runs the show.
We didn't actually introduce you, Dan Spiess, but I think everyone. So we'll put that in post.
I've been interested in the music business, but now I just enjoy seeing live music, and I've never had a facility with better sound, lighting for an outdoor stage. It surpasses most indoor facilities that you would think would be excellent. And then when you have an intimate setting like inside the studio,
yeah,
it's exceptional. And the artists appreciate that because they haven't heard themselves that good. It brings out the best in them. Yeah. So I just really appreciate being here and enjoying the music and seeing the joy that the musicians have playing together. That makes it special.
Yeah, I see that. That is a through going theme that I've noticed from all the artists that are up there on that stage, that they really know that they appreciate, as you say, the setup and the way things are put together and really well organized, especially given, we'll go back to this fact that a month ago, you didn't even know this was going to come together the way it has, and to have pulled it all together and have it run so seamlessly. And I'm sure there's probably people that wanted to be here that couldn't be here because the reschedule. So the crowds maybe aren't what you might have gotten in October, but they still seem pretty reasonable. It seems like you got a reasonable number of people here that are very, very into it, right?
Yeah. They're people really loved. They really do.
Yeah.
And but it's a lot of people never saw Tom live, and so sometimes this is their first opportunity to kind of hear his music in a really exceptional way.
Seeing Jake's performance last night really made me feel like I was kind of watching Ghost of Tom Petty out there. It was, and all through the, everybody that goes up and are singing these songs and doing their own interpretations, you sort of feel like These aren't cover bands or, per se. These are people that are letting that music flow through them, and it just feels great. Just feels like Tom's kind of here somehow.
We've had the first 2 years we had a cover band each year, and then we went, nah, we're not going to do that.
You mean like the impersonator kind of thing?
Well, yeah, but it doesn't even matter if they don't do the impersonator thing. It's that a cover band, our tribute band, what we
Tribute, that's right. Yeah,
is that they
that's the word.
basically try to match the sound on the record.
Yeah.
Right. Well, in our minds, the fans have heard those records a million times. They don't want to travel all this way, spend all this money to hear what they could hear on their record at home.
Yeah.
Right? Do us. So what we learned over time, because we would see this, if a fan played Tom songs through their filter, whatever filter it is, Americana, jazz, reggae.
Yeah. That was
or sometimes bands just have a certain kind of a groove or something that's different than maybe one you've heard. And then they take that Tom Petty stuff and filter it through them, and it becomes a new song, really. It's like, wow, that's a Tom Petty song. It's familiar, but it's new. Right?
Yeah.
That makes Tom alive again.
Sure.
For people, right?
Better. Yeah.
And that's what we try. We really try to encourage that. And once we realize, oh, there's a sweet spot, get people to take Tom's songs and put it through them, right? Put it through their style, their way of doing things. And then we get something that everybody's like, whoa, right? So we went, no more tribute bands.
Yeah.
If we want to go, which is, okay, we picked the freaking skinniest path right by the edge, the hardest way we could possibly go, right? Because it's really hard to learn new songs that are covers, right? And we want you to redo it in a way. And then,
and that's a challenge, right? Yeah.
But
it's work, but they do it.
Yeah, they do it. And the ones that have embraced it find the rewards are great.
Yeah.
They love coming here.
Right.
Jake said it. Jake, this is the highlight of his year. Shine, this is the highlight of her year. Right? Hannah Harbor, this is the highlight of her year.
Yeah.
And they've got that secret of how to take their way of doing things and play Tom's songs for it, and the fans love them. They just love them. But, I swear, we could put Brandon and I up there as a duo, and that would be bad. But they still love it.
They'd appreciate the effort.
I think you've gone too far, Dad.
So how many festivals or weekends have you made it to?
Well,
been at every one of them?
My second official, but I did a pre-festival to the circus. Subterranean Circus at its 50th anniversary just a few months before last year's. So that was my first experience saying Heartwood Sound outside.
Oh, okay.
And I learned very intimate, friendly. It's just wonderful.
Yeah.
It's nonstop. And it's a bargain as well. The cost.
Oh, yeah.
It's not Chicago prices.
Yeah. You talk about this. You talk about sweet spots. This is the sweet spot for a lot of people. I think the prices are very reasonable. The setup is impeccable. Everything about it is right in that sweet spot. You're not paying $500-600 for a weekend of music. You're paying, whatever you're paying, whatever flight you're at.
You can see Speaker Wars at $30 tonight for walk in.
Yeah,
and you could actually spend the whole day seeing all the bands leading up to that.
Right.
It would barely buy you 2 beers in Chicago to shop.
So what do you hope happens from here on out going forward year by year? I mean, are you hoping to grow this, or is this about the right size? The venue can only hold so many people, right?
Well, financially, we're not killing it. If anything, we're just breaking even. And if we're going to have this keep going, we're going to have to figure out a way to maybe not be so reasonable with the prices.
Understood.
But you're like, God, if we raise it too much,
I'm setting you up for failure by saying
that we'll lose 30% of numbers. And what I found is you can charge the sweet spot and make enough money, but it looks like it's empty out there. Right. So it's like, you're doing, so you're trying to balance a lot of different things when you're doing this, but we seem to be doing the right way, and everybody's happy, and we'll just keep getting better each year is what we're trying to do.
Well, and I'm sure if the prices do end up being adjusted at some point, believe me, I will speak it to the mountaintops that it's worth every penny, because this has been just a phenomenal weekend. I'm really happy to get to know you, Dan, and get to meet you, Brandon, and just be a part of this. And this won't be my last Tom Petty weekend for sure. So,
Well, great. And hopefully next year we'll get Kevin Brown to experience.
Kevin Brown, that guy, you don't want that guy.
I was like, dude, I don't think I'm going to make any money bringing you down, but I want to bring you down. You're pouring your heart into your podcast, and I think that deserves. See, so we make those kind of decisions that aren't necessarily good business decisions, but it's the right thing to.
I told him, I was like, Kevin, if I have to pay for your plane ticket next year, you're coming down here. I've already had that conversation with him. So we're gonna see Kevin here next year, come hell or high water.